today as I have a wander around some of the places I used to go to when I was a child and look at wildlife back when I first started doing these sort of things. And this is, I'm in the village of Crowcrook. That's where I was brought up. I was here from about the age of 2, and we're at a little pond called Sled Lane Pond, which is at the bottom of the village and is one of the places where from a very early age I used to come down here early on with my parents, and when I was a bit older on my own, and look at the wildlife. And in some ways places like this is where I got started in being whatever I am today. So I thought we'd have a look at a few of them here on Haps, just share a few of the sites as we go through them. So I'll be on and off at slightly random times. Can't really schedule these because it depends how quickly I walk and what I see along the way when I get to places. So they'll just come on when they come on. But anyway, this is Sled Lane Pond. I'll turn the camera around so we can have a look at the site now. And we're up at the back of the pond here. The pond itself is down the slope there. And there are various bits of track through the sort of woodland which surrounds it. Lots of different trees here. This one here to be a sycamore, which we're nearest to. And you can see, since we're looking at it, it's one of these things that you sort of get told early on. I was probably about 5 or 6 when I was told about this. But this sycamore tree here has on it, as you can see, these black spots on the leaf. And these are a fungal thing, tar spot fungus it's called, that has this effect, or it goes on the leaf like this, it does this to the leaves. And it makes the leaf look rather discoloured, but one of the things it does, one of the things it is it's an indicator of reasonably high quality air. So air pollution really kills off the fungus that causes this. So if you see these spots, it does mean that you've got pretty decent air. So what we'll do is we'll wander down and have a look on the pond, see what there is there. Go down this slope here. So obviously, when I was a child, what we'd do is we would stand here and we would sprint down this slope and find some way to stop ourselves before running onto the water. Today I'll make my way quite carefully down it instead. I'll say that because I'm carrying various bits of equipment which I didn't carry when I was a child, and not that I've got old and boring. But it is a reasonably steep slope leading down to the pond. Quite interesting fungus here. I have no talent at identifying fungi whatsoever, but there is some here up on this slope. And then we'll wander down a bit further to the pond, trying if at all possible not to fall down the hill. I'm sure I was steadier on here when I was young, but there we go. And you can start to see the pond ahead of us. Quite a few reasonably nice mature trees, of course, along here. So it was just a nice little site that I would visit early on, and come along here with my parents, come along with a little net and go pond dipping and see what we could find in the pond, see what birds we could see swimming on the water, all of those things. And I do try to get back to these sites on occasions when I'm back up here in this part of the country, see how things have changed, see how things have developed, see what's what these days. There's a bit of a reed bed here. this end of the pond. I think this has probably been cut back a little bit in recent years. I seem to remember this being a much more extensive reed bed even when I was here a couple of years ago. Still quite a large reed bed, still quite a nice area. And you've got out to the pond here where you've got some wildfowl, some swans you can see. You see the swans come up on the banking here as well because there are lots of feathers and swan droppings. There's some other birds around. There's some coots. There's scanwhales here. Moorhen. There's black-headed gull next to the swans. Let's zoom in a bit. So you can see the swans. The white bird behind the immature swan there is a black-headed gull. Some coots, blackbirds with white heads there. I suspect these swans get fed quite a lot because they perked up and are coming towards us now, which is good. Quite often the swans on here have colour rings on them from a ringing scheme. So if they do come over, we can have a look and see if we can see those. There's a heron sitting up on the old log. That old log, there it is. Rather blurred at this level of zoom, I'm afraid. But that heron, grey heron sitting up on that log, that bit of rotting dead stump of tree has been standing there as long as I can remember this site, gradually rotting away. So it's been there. Have we lost it? Let me zoom out again. There we go. Yeah, that stump there has been there since, well, quite a while, and gradually just drifting away. Now here comes the swans to see us. Here they go. Has it got a colouring on it? Not on that leg that I can see. Any of the immatures? That swan's certainly got a metal ring. So they may come over, and if they do, we will, between us, try to read what these rings are so I can report them to the ringing scheme and see. It just adds to the history. I suspect these are very well recorded birds. There are plenty of people come here. There we go, there's a ring. Okay, hang on, no, turn around the other way, bird. Very unhelpful, you turning around like that. I need to see the other side of your legs. Come on. So they're expecting to be fed, and they'll stick around me for a little while until they work out I'm mean and I'm not going to give them any food. A010 is the ring on that swan. I'm just going to make a quick note of. Oops, sorry, a bit distracted whilst I do this. Red ring, A010. Hope I can see it again. So that bird's swimming away from us. Red ring A010. Just all adds useful data about where the birds have been and what they've been doing if you can get these ring readings. Sorry, brief distraction from the broadcast whilst I was focusing on that, but there we go. What else can we see out on the water here? over the distance where those cars are going past, there are a few mallard duck on the water, quite a lot of manky mallard that have been sort of crossed in with some of the domestic farmyard type duck species. Zoom in a bit and see if we can see them a bit better. Rather distant for this camera. This is not, this is not a pond that is, going to be winning any awards, attracting major attention as somewhere with huge numbers of rare wildfowl, but as somewhere just down from where I lived when I was a child, somewhere I could come and see the wildlife, see what was there. This was a really important place for me growing up, and for me sort of starting to get interested in and starting to, I can't remember, not being interested in the natural world, but starting to pay attention to things and see them and learn about them, which really is an interest or obsession that's kept on ever since. So there we go, that is Sled Lane Pond here in Crocook in northeast England, and one of the sites that started me off in paying attention to and observing wildlife and the natural world around me, and I thought I'd share it here. So we'll stop this one here. I'll pop back on later when I get to another of the sites that was interesting or that I spent a fair chunk of time at as a young person, and we'll speak again then.